Technology should be a boon to education, giving educators new tools and better outcomes. But for a handful of for-profit companies, a turn towards tech has meant big profits, but disastrous results for thousands of students. Editor-at-large Corey Johnson has spent weeks poring through SEC filings, congressional reports, and legal documents, and has come up with the evidence that not all tech-driven change has been good for education. So, Corey, tell me what you found.
Yeah, well, fundamentally, the educational results of these companies is they've turned their businesses, which have already got sort of sometimes questionable results for their students and high default rates for their loans. When they've turned their businesses online, the results for students have been demonstratively worse. The companies don't often give this information out, but it can be found, and some of the numbers that we've seen really show that the failure to complete a degree for their students in their campus programs, these are a handful of for-profit schools, 46% fail to get a degree on campus. I would think that's a terrible thing, but 64% of the same students in those schools, when they go online for an education, fail to get a degree. So the online education is a very different offering with a very different result. And it's one of the things that a handful of states' attorneys general are looking at. We talked yesterday to the Kentucky Attorney General about his investigation, part of a nationwide investigation by a handful of attorneys general. Listen to what he had to say.
These schools have gone after the veterans benefits as a way to leverage their ability to sign up more students. And we're very concerned about that. And I think that's the reason you're seeing not just the 32 states that I lead, but 15 AGs partnering with the federal government here in the last 2 to 3 months to start to issue subpoenas and actually institute several lawsuits.
So fundamentally what we see here is that there's some attention being paid to this, and I think what they're going to start to find in their investigation is that the companies took their on-campus business when growth was stalled, got a law passed in 2006 to let them offer online-only degrees, and that has been where the growth has been, and that's where the crummy results are, Betty.
All right, Corey, since on the business side, what about the companies? Exactly who is part of this? Who's being affected?
So there are 5 companies being invested across the board by all these attorneys general. In Kentucky, and specifically, Career Education Corporation, Corinthian Colleges, Education Management Corporation, and ITT Education. These are all publicly traded companies. They all defend their records, saying they're offering an education to people that wouldn't get one otherwise. But the default rates, I should also say, the Department of Education says that students attending these kinds of schools have default rates on their loans of upwards of 46%. Picture a classroom in front of a teacher, or a classroom in front of an online teacher, an online classroom, and imagine that 46% of them are going to go into default just for the sake of seeking that kind of degree. I think that's what the great concern is, and the more you look into this, the worse it looks.
All right, Corey, thank you so much for bringing us that story. Corey Johnson, editor-at-large on online education. I want to stay on the subject of not just online education, but education in general. I want to bring in the woman credited with turning around Washington, D.C.'s public schools, Michelle Reese. She's a former D.C. schools chancellor, now the CEO